Module 5, learners explore in times of conflict what happens, and in times of conflict there are a lot of consequences, and how do we respond to these consequences in times of conflict.
Consequences of war deals with practical issues like how do you organize a refugee camp? What is the life like of refugees?
What are the underlying principles of the humanitarian action of the International Committee of the Red Cross? What are the principles that underpin the activities of the International Committee of the Red Cross? Neutrality. So we have the principle of neutrality, right? Impartiality. Right, we have the principle of impartiality. Universal. We have the principle of universality, if you will, right? Unity, the principle of unity, yes. Independence, the principle of independence. Of these principles, we're going to study the three most essential. So we have the principle of neutrality, the principle of impartiality, and the principle of independence. I'm going to give you a clue that will help you identify which of the principles has been put into practice. Group 1, text number 1. Group 2, text number 2. Group 3, text number 3. It's the ICRC that's independent. The movement is independent, auxiliaries in the humanitarian services of their governments, and subject to the laws of their respective countries. So try to figure out which principle we're talking about. Then defend it. Defend your answer.
The movement must be independent because in the event of war it depends on a state or a country. It has to take side. So we say that the movement is impartial.
Group 1, what did you find? Read the text, quickly, bear in mind the time.
A rebel is seriously wounded and has just been taken to hospital, where he receives treatment. Then 2 government soldiers, less seriously wounded, arrive at the hospital. Since a small medical team continues to take care of the rebel, the soldiers attack the staff. If you take care of this casualty and make us wait, it means you're on his side. Do you know what he did to us? And we thought you were supposed to be neutral.
What principle do you see at play here?
Neutrality.
Neutrality, yes. Why? How can you justify your answer?
And we thought you were supposed to be neutral.
So, we thought you were supposed to be neutral. So this text shows us it highlights the principle of neutrality. Neutrality means what? Yeah, Anta?
How would you have answered if you were a humanitarian worker? Of course we're neutral. But in this case, this patient was more seriously wounded, so we're going to assist him first, even if he is a rebel. Oh my God, what an atrocity, what happened? But her pulse is so weak, she's losing a lot of blood. And her. But Nikumba. Tenova, help me, please. I don't want to die. You're not going to die. I'm still so young. I won't let you. But what happened?
She stepped on an anti-personnel mine that those cowards placed.
Oh no, you dare to accuse us. When you use such destructive, uncontrollable weapons, you're nothing but rebels.
And so?
But be reasonable. You're wounded or suffering terribly. Do you think it's worth arguing when they're suffering? I'm going to take care of this one first.
And we thought you were supposed to be impartial.
But of course, we as ICRC personnel, we're here to help everyone. We're neutral and impartial. That's why I'm going to take care of the one who's suffering the most. We're soldiers, and they're only rebels.
We defend a noble cause.
While we're waiting for help to get here, I'm going to take care of her first, but be reasonable too. Let's aim to protect life and human dignity. Soldiers and rebels, wounded soldiers and wounded rebels. Let's aim to protect life and human dignity.
Let's fight to preserve life and human dignity. We're in Module 5, so the plan was to talk about the three main sections. The first section consisted of questions and answers, brainstorming. The second part was group work with students who studied a text or texts. Finally, there was role-playing. That helped us achieve two basic objectives. The first was to look at the fundamental principles underlying humanitarian action, such as neutrality, impartiality, and independence. The second, to simply realize that humanitarian workers are often confronted with different predicaments in the field. When I ask a question, I get several answers. Some of the students answer in a pretty superficial way. Well, I insist on fuller answers, so that I can get one that takes me exactly where I want to go.
The part I liked best was the group work we had to do each time. Our teacher gave us a text and we had to discuss it amongst ourselves and find the answers he was looking for. Each one in the group says what he thinks. Then we choose the best answer. We write it down on our paper. Then the rapporteur reports to the teacher.
It's a pretty interesting method because it's less tiring for the teacher. He intervenes less, he gives clear and distinct advice, he leaves the students to... Each one tries to free himself to express what he's been keeping inside. In the group I was in, there were a lot of questions where we didn't agree. We asked the teacher lots of questions. He got us on the right track.
It makes the student participate. It keeps us alert. It means we're never distracted because what we're doing, you could say, it's us. We're doing the... And the teacher's in our place listening.
And role-playing is the method that works best because the students like it. It's a game for them. And through that game they learn something without even realizing it. So it's good from the start. And at the end they realize that in fact it was very, very useful.
In fact, it's as if we were experiencing this. We put ourselves in the prisoner's shoes, and in the shoes of the ICRC workers, government agents, all of that. We experience what happens in the field.
We get the impression that we're the actual victims of war. The students try to put into play the concepts they've learned, essentially the concepts in Module 5, which is the ethical underpinning.
I understood the devastation of war. The consequences are disastrous. Victims, orphans. It's no good.
Frankly, we weren't accustomed to working like this in the classroom for several reasons. There were already too many students in each class most of the time. Here I was lucky to have a class that wasn't all that large, so it was easy to organize the students in groups.
I learned to express myself better in public, to work as part of a team, to listen, all sorts of things.
The teachers will also benefit. You'll gain more experience. You'll discover new methods that are extremely interesting and that represent a break with previous approaches.